right now. This is Big 12 Sports Saturday. Presented by George Webb Restaurants. Our kitchen's always cooking.
Welcome into another edition of Big 12 Sports Saturday. I'm Dario Melendez, joined this week by Drew Olson and Jared. I love Hamilton Fialco. See, you have to watch Operation Football if you want the inside jokes. Anyways, look, a lot to get to in today's show. We're talking Badgers, their first game without Paul Christian, what one former Badger had to say about his firing. Brewers season officially over, what went wrong, and why David Stearns is taking some of the blame. Plus our Operation Football Play of the Week. We start with, though, the Packers and the London Leap. In just a few hours, the Packers will play their first ever game in London when they take on the New York Giants at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. The game is set for an 8:30 a.m. local time kickoff as the Pack look to pick up their fourth straight win. And look, they are in great position to do just that because they are facing yet another injury-riddled football team. The Giants going to be without two of their top receivers and some key players on the defensive side of the ball. Daniel Jones, their quarterback, nursing an ankle injury, but he is expected to play. Drew, look, the Packers the last 3 weeks, their 3 wins, they have perfected the win ugly mantra. So this game in London against a Giants team that has tons of guys sidelined almost has to be a must-win. You can't let a game like this slip away.
I agree. Dario, some of that ugliness last week were Jared's Patriots and Bill Belichick had a hand in that. Bill Belichick's a master. There's some Big Bill's energy on this Giants sideline with their coach Brian Daboll, but I think that the Packers should be in position, like you said, to win this one relatively comfortably. But we don't know. The Packers have never played overseas, and when the Giants travel to the West Coast, that's a 6-hour flight for them. So this isn't that big a radical change for them. They're more used to it. So it'll be interesting to me to see if the travel is an equalizer. I think there's a lot of Packers fans in London, so the crowd might be generous towards Green Bay. But I think the Packers, if on paper, they should win this game.
Look, tons of Packer fans in London. Look, the Packers took that Thursday night overnight flight. They got pumped with a bunch of, let's say, sleeping aids, got off the plane, went right to practice. So, Jared, again, you're playing a team of the Giants, just like last week with the Patriots who had injuries, just like the week before when the Buccaneers had injuries. You're playing an injury-riddled team. You cannot let this one slip away, right?
And Aaron Rodgers said it point blank after the win against the Patriots. The way they are winning games is not sustainable.
Yep.
And the Giants, they may have the same record, 3-1, but I don't think they are nearly as good as that record indicates. They've beaten Ryan Tannehill, they've beaten Baker Mayfield, and they've beaten Justin
That's
Fields.
murderer's row of elite quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's the Three Stooges, all right? So, yeah, this one is must-win. I don't know if you'd say must-win, but it's definitely a cannot lose.
Especially when this defense that we talked about all throughout training camp has painted itself, at least in the media's eyes, as elite. The problem is Green Bay currently ranks 7th in league in points, which isn't bad per game, but they're near the bottom of the pack in rushing, which the Giants, they run the ball very well. Jared, the Packers defense, I don't know if we can call them elite anymore, right?
I wouldn't say so after you let Bailey Zappi, and if, again, raise your hand if a week ago, and if you were not a Patriots fan, who you knew who Bailey Zappi was. Yeah, everybody put your hands down at home because you're lying.
Because without a doubt they're lying.
Yeah, a lot of Western Kentucky fans.
Bailey Zappi did some work on him, so I have a real hard time believing that you are an elite defense if you let the Patriots back up to the backup, nearly pull off a win because the Patriots had the ball in Packer territory in overtime, and they were 1 or 2 first downs away from ending that one.
Yeah, Drew, again, I don't know if any of us are going to call the Packers defense elite, but at this point, it's been very bend, don't break, even if it has been against some, let's just say, injury-riddled offenses. But the Packers defense has to be better.
Yeah, especially with Bailey Zappi. Okay, so the Patriots brought in an extra lineman, and they had a 6-man offense front, and it took a while for the Packers to adjust to that.
That was a huge play, right, Drew? I mean, you get that 6th lineman in, they just had no idea what to do with that.
And so I don't think we're going to see that this week, but Saquon Barkley is a handful. He's probably the best running back the Packers have faced this year, and they haven't been good against the run. Now, can they limit him to maybe 2 or 3 15 to 20-yard gains? Hopefully not a 50 or 60-yard gain because he's capable of those too. But it's been really, it's confounding, Dario, because I thought this team would be better against the run. I thought they were more athletic, and I guess they're still feeling their way. Quay Walker gets lost in the wash sometimes against the run. So I think they have to cover some more ground there. They have to be able to stop this because that's the way, let's face it, like Danny Dimes isn't going to beat the Packers in a shootout.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I think Jared hit the nail on the head. Aaron Rodgers saying after the game, this way of winning isn't sustainable. The offense has to do a lot more. And one guy who has been really good has been rookie wideout Romeo Doubs. Jared, I mean, he has been probably one of the most impressive offensive pieces this team has had thus far.
And I think one of the real telling things is that when Romeo Doubs has made a mistake out there on the field, Aaron Rodgers hasn't sent him to the doghouse. He hasn't said, all right, kid, take a seat on the bench, like we'll see you in 2 games. He keeps going back to him, and I think that's very telling, as Rodgers is aware of the talent that Doubs possesses, and I think they can win with a guy like him split out wide.
And it's telling that Christian Watson, their second-round pick, isn't getting the burn that you would have expected. You look at him in practice, very raw, obviously extremely fast down the field, Drew. I understand that Allen Lazard is technically wide receiver 1, but I mean, is Romeo Doubs moving up climbing the ladder for that position?
I think he is, Dario. I think you're right. I think Christian Watson was he was stilted. He was stunted by the injuries in camp that he didn't get those reps. And Romeo Doubs made plays every day on the practice field in camp that made people say, wow, this guy's got something. And Rodgers sees that. He recognizes that. I have a feeling one of those guys is going to go for 100 yards tomorrow in London, and it's probably Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, and he has touchdowns in 2 straight games, both of those games equaling Packers wins. Still ahead, Badgers begin the post-Paul Chryst era with a nice victory down in Chicago. Up next, highlights and a reaction for the Badgers win over the Northwestern Wildcats and the monster day from quarterback Graham Mertz. You're watching Big 12 Sports Saturday.
You're watching Big 12 Sports Saturday, presented by George Webb Restaurants. Our kitchen's always cooking.